Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the Wicked press tour. Now, before we get into it, there are a couple of disclaimers I need to put out there because I've seen truly unhinged behavior about the movie, the acting, about the actresses slash singer, whatever. So a couple of things. First of all, what we're talking about here, what we're going to be talking about in this video, is the press tour. Are we going to be coming to great big conclusions about Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo? No. We're not talking about them as people. We're talking about them in this specific moment, their behavior in regards to the press tour, okay? So anything that I'm going to say here is specifically and only about the press tour. Am I a fan of Ariana Grande? No, not really. Do I despise her? No, just not my gig. I'm not the target audience. Wicked? Loved it, saw it on Broadway multiple times. Haven't seen the movie, probably not going to, based on what I've seen, again, probably not the target audience, even though I love the play, I just feel like this is probably not for me. The way they're acting about it makes me feel like it's not for me because, honestly, actually, let me wait a second before I get quote-unquote controversial. So anyway, what I wanted to do is review what the public is saying about this press tour, because the main thing about the Wicked press tour is that it's been fucking weird. Realistically, I don't know what other way to put it. We're gonna look at things and we're gonna try and stay calm because the way I've seen people interact about this online is absolutely unhinged because it seemed like people were forgetting that we're talking about Wicked. We're not talking about war. We're not talking about big political issues. We're not talking about anything that's super of consequence. And that's actually why I wanted to talk about this, because today I felt like doing something silly and less heavy, less significant in the grand scheme of the world, right? So let's all just try and keep that in mind. And I know people who are watching this are probably less intense and unhinged than the people on Twitter were, but my God. So a lot of memes are born out of the interviews, the press tour related to Wicked, right? And frankly, I quite enjoy these memes because the silliness of it all, the absolute otherworldliness of these interviews makes me feel like I am walking in on something on another planet, in another language, with feelings I can't possibly relate to. I feel like an outsider entering a space that is not meant for me every single time I watch any of these interviews, which again was surprising to me at first because I love Wicked, I've loved Wicked on Broadway, so I was kind of surprised to be like, oh, maybe this is not actually for me. Anyway, let's talk about those interview moments that have turned into memes.
Our own, no, we're not gonna, we can't, we're not.
No, you get, yeah, no.
We can't.
No, you're gonna do
We've
it.
cried 500 times today.
We've done it
today.
a lot. We've done
no,
today.
and honestly, this is a PSA. So sorry, guys.
I'm so, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it.
I can't imagine. And you know what? If you're in the
just gonna
comments
be-
saying how annoying it is, I'll say it first.
I can't help it.
I've said
it's
it
not
first.
on purpose.
I'm annoyed. I'm tired. My tear
We are
ducts.
tired. Actually, I can't even. I felt the same
tired.
thing outside. I was like,
Do not do it here.
Emotionally tired.
Do
But
not do it here.
but-
I don't cry before 4 p.m.
We can't do it, but we've been
can't.
crying since 6 in the
it's
morning.
We are not doing it.
But we just had our own private cry in the
Yes.
parking lot.
just because we've like come through like a massive thing, and we've really stuck together.
Yeah, the stuff you don't see is the most special stuff.
Yeah.
Whoa, stop.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ.
Don't do it.
I'm leaving.
Don't do it. Stop, you guys.
You can't leave. You can't.
No, you're gonna make the gays nervous. The gays are getting nervous. Look, your makeup artist is like sweating over there. Do not come in here. Don't you dare, Daryl.
Head back. Tell it back.
Okay, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it for you guys.
So one of the main reasons why I don't think I am the target audience for this version of Wicked is that, yes, this behavior I think is frankly extremely annoying. And I'm not trying to be one of those people who's critiquing people's artistry or whatever. I can completely understand doing this long, meaningful project with someone, right? And there were some people kind of hypothesizing about how this has helped both of them, both of these actresses, heal some of their inner traumas or whatever. I'm really not going to comment on that because I don't feel equipped and I don't feel like anyone knows that that's actually true. But pretending that's true, I can understand that going through with any big endeavor, whether it's creative or not, and I'm even speaking for myself in like my master's program, right? I can completely understand that you bond with the people that you suffer with through these big endeavors. Struggling with people will make you bond. All totally true, totally fine, actually pretty great for your morale to know that someone else is struggling. It can really help you get through things. So I am entirely on the same page. That being said, I have to say a lot of this, I think what is annoying people is that after a while, the cries don't seem organic, right? Because I've seen actors cry about projects they've been on. It happens, of course, you're attached, you care, you put in work, blah, blah, blah. Makes sense. That being said, if I see actor XYZ tear up in one interview over something, fine. It becomes suspicious and almost unbelievable to me if you're crying in basically every single interview or being overly emotional in every single interview. At some point, I think we all have to just come to terms with the fact that this is also your job, you know, and granted you're a celebrity, you can probably cry on the job or whatever. But someone posted this tweet, which was so funny to me because it's so accurate, where it was like, guys, we're all forgetting that they're actors. Imagine if 2 construction workers or 2 plumbers were asked about their job and they start crying and holding hands. All of us would be like, what the fuck is going on? Now, I think we have a little bit more wiggle room with the creative types, with the artisty types, because they're weird and that's why we like them, right? But here, it's starting to look forced. I no longer see any of this as organic, and that's what's annoying. Because if I saw these cries as organic, I probably would be annoyed, but at least I'd be like, okay, they're being authentically themselves, I don't get it, but whatevs. In this particular case, it's really starting to read as try-hard, inauthentic, and also bordering on concerning. Is that me being harsh? Probably, but what can you do? Another key point of the Wicked press tour is, well, actually the main key point of the Wicked press tour is word salads. Now, listen, I don't really like mentioning all of this because I know it's boring to a lot of people, but as someone who has been in school for a very long time, anything to do with words, I'm gonna have an issue with, because being repetitive while saying nothing is truly jaw-dropping. Like, maybe there is a talent needed to do that. Because imagine if I talk for like a minute and I'm just throwing out random words and saying things that are nonsensical and then I start crying, which is basically the Wicked press tour. I don't know how you do that. And that's a big part of, I think, what is so, well, it's being labeled as cringe. If you look up Wicked cringe, there's quite a lot on Twitter. But that's also what's so inauthentic looking about it, is that they're not really saying anything. If I felt like someone was bearing their soul to me, I would probably put up with a lot more, because I'd be like, okay, well, this is who they are, they're showing me something, and I'd be grateful for them showing me this part of who they are. That being said, there are moments like this one.
I'm a person, and I feel, and I have feelings, and I can share them.
And if you need to cry right now, you cry.
Yeah. And someone said to me once that the green was the thing that I would love the most about Alphabet, that I would want to stay green. But actually, being green, yes, I loved playing this character. But every time I took the makeup off, I loved who I was even more. So I've come away feeling really beautiful.
You f***ing are.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh my God.
You know?
Yeah. What you've brought to this film and to these characters, you've not just taken care of them, you have transformed them for good.
Thank you.
Really, really.
Thank
have.
you.
This is also my first time ever doing a
You
jump.
have been the
amazing.
light
You're
of the
amazing.
day. You are
truly-
such a gift.
You brought such light into the room. Thank you very much.
We
for coming
appreciate
into
you.
this room today. We needed you to come in.
Actually, the overall sentiment of what happens in this clip, I enjoy the overall sentiment. I like the concept of Cynthia Erivo liking herself more, being happy in who she is, all of that. Love to hear that. A lot of what was said here prior to that moment was word salady, okay? And you can chalk that up to emotions, and talking about your emotions in front of people, that can also make you more tendentially nervous, maybe cry, whatevs. Again, we return to point number 1, which is actually the central point. It's how often can you cry continuously over relatively benign things? And that's not me belittling her experience as much as it's like, again, you are on the job. So when people ask you questions, to break down every single time between her and Ariana, it's like, guys, Can we just get through the questions without everything turning into this big emotional thing? Because I feel like that's also not even part of a job, which again, this is work for them, but it also has to do with self-regulation. Because I think what we've been seeing in the last, I don't know, since 2016 at least, is that people feel really comfortable about their feelings automatically. And I'm not saying you need to belittle your own feelings, but when you feel something, if you want to cry, if you want to get angry, we see this with politics as well, it is a good idea to self-regulate and be like, okay, let me think about why I'm reacting this way. Do I need to react this way publicly? Do I need to say this publicly? And that's just overall, I think that's the rule of thumb with social media, or it should be, and I try my best to follow that rule myself, where it's like, if I get really pissed off or really sad about something, it's worth thinking about, is this something I'm gonna put out there? And especially if you're at work, which again they are, something that people keep forgetting because most people can't just cry incessantly at work, or if they do, you're using your bathroom break for that. It's extremely, extremely at the very core unrelatable, and I think that's what's pissing off a lot of people. It's not just the inauthenticity or the perceived inauthenticity, it's that it's so unrelatable, because so many people have minimum wage jobs that aren't paying their bills, they have debt from student loans, they can barely afford groceries. So that's the kind of environment we're in right now. And we have people who are in this movie that's super hyped or overhyped, depending on who you are, who are crying over their experience filming this movie. And again, that is fine, but the public will not like that you're acting like you just came back from war when in fact, you guys were on set. And that doesn't mean your moment on set wasn't meaningful, but you will understand why the average human will think that this response is a little much. And when I say a little much, I don't cry this much in therapy. Like, I don't know what's going on, and frankly, I'm not sure I want to know, because everything I'm finding out here, which was against my will initially, makes me more confused. I feel like I have less answers than when I began.
Seen this week, people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that and feeling power in that.
I didn't know that that was happening.
I've seen it, yeah.
That's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was happening.
I've seen it on a couple posts. I don't know how widespread, but you know, I am in queer media, so
Yeah.
that's my,
It's
you
really
know.
cool.
See, now the thing is, my family asks me to give them context about these things that are happening. And for the most part, I can tell them, oh, this is happening, or that's happening, or they'll ask me about a meme. But when I see these parts of the interview, like people are holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity, I don't even know what it means to be holding space for lyrics. Like, what space are you holding? Are we forgetting that Defying Gravity didn't drop like when this tour started? Like, Defying Gravity has been a song for quite a long time now. So holding space, like, what does that mean? Can someone please explain what holding space means? I watched this a million times and I still have no answers. And then the reception of, oh, that's really meaningful. Do you see why it feels like I'm on another planet? Because I don't understand what this interviewer's talking about. I don't understand what they're responding to what she's talking about, but people are fucking crying. Like, that is the press tour in a nutshell. I may have officially figured out why this shit rubs me the wrong way. Now, does it make me irate? No. However, you know what I think the issue is? I feel like there is a level of hyper-emotionality, I don't even know what we should call it, but I'm gonna call it hyper-emotionality put onto this. There are plenty of themes in Wicked that touch on emotions, that touch on bullying, that touch on isolation. There's so many themes. That being said, it's like if I'm giving you a book and I'm telling you how to feel about the book, when you have your own feelings about it. That's why I also think people are getting annoyed, is because their consistent crying seems like a way to try to add more meaning into it. Like, this was so emotional, we cried so much, and it's almost like that gives it a gravitas it didn't have before. But realistically, what we have are two celebrities crying about a project, which they're allowed to do, but the public will get annoyed because it's also like, hey, it's a movie. Hey, can this be fun? Can we actually talk about things that are not your feelings or holding space? Can we talk about the movie and enjoy the artistry of it? Because all of this has been turned into this like weird emotional vortex where we're not even really talking about the movie. Like, what the fuck does it mean for people to hold space for lyrics of a song in the movie, in the play, in the whatever? Like, can we talk about other things that aren't super focused on you as people and your reaction, and talk about the characters, talk about the set, talk about the costumes, talk about design? Can we talk about things that are not just you guys crying? I really don't like when actors take over the conversation in terms of like the actor themselves. So not the actor in the role, but the actor of, so it's Ariana Grande. She's not being Glinda the witch. She's Ariana Grande and we're talking about Ariana Grande. It's like, okay, well, the project is Wicked. So you're in it, but you're in it as someone else. So can we talk about that character? Do you know what I mean? But on the note of talking about that character, actually, we have a fun little clip, which is probably the least of our problems, honestly. I'm gonna ask you to listen to like the first sentence. Just listen to the words in the first sentence and tell me it's not word salad.
And trust and truth and like just such a safe space for one another, which is what all relationships should be. So, you know, whether it's romantic or platonic or, you know, maybe Glinda might be a little in the closet, but if there were a time, maybe, you know, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Give it a little more time.
Listen, if Glinda comes out of the closet, I'll be the first to congratulate her, as if she's a fellow bi or if she's a lesbian. I don't know what she's gonna come out as, and honestly, I'm too afraid to find out. But whatever she comes out as, great. Again, we return to my main point. It seems like they're trying to add all these extra layers onto Wicked that may very well be there, and if you wrote a paper about it with evidence, I'd give it a little bit more credit. But since here, it's just people sitting on chairs, being interviewed by people, and said other people just crying, now having the implication of potentially a lesbian, bisexual, non-straight Glinda. I don't care if she's not straight. The main point is that you're trying to put all this shit, all these layers that as of right now, we have really no proof of them being there. And this goes back also to the hyper emotionality I was talking about before of putting all this shit onto it. So by crying all the time, it automatically seems like you're trying to put all this extra emotion that isn't there. And I feel like Wicked has a lot of emotion in it. But by having these people crying all the time, it seems like we have to have even more emotion or more of a reaction. And it's like, why can this not be treated like a movie project that you super enjoyed and maybe you cry in a couple interviews, but does it have to be just like the crying press tour? Because that's what it is. But the thing about Glinda not being straight, I don't care if she's not straight, but it's more a question of how is this relevant and why are you trying to impose this? Like if there are aspects of the movie that point to this, then forget I'm saying any of this. But if the movie doesn't touch on this and there's no real reason to bring up potentially non-straight relationships just for what the points you're gonna get from the non-straights, it feels a little bit pandery because I'm like, are you just saying what you think the public wants to hear, that Glinda's not straight? Like, do you think you're gonna get points for that? I don't know, but it feels fake and it feels like you're trying to appeal to a certain public without the authenticity of appealing to that public. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're saying, oh yeah, Glinda's probably not straight because ABC and that's great. It's more like, I know that a certain demographic will be happy that Glinda's not straight, so let me just touch on it and throw them like a bone, but then we're never gonna talk about it. There's no proof, there's no mention about it in the movie. Now, like I said, if there is mention to something like that in the movie, what I'm saying now is not a valid point. But again, on a press tour, we return to point A. Why are we bringing this up right now? To be clear, I have seen conversation about Elphaba and Glinda not being straight. Most movies, plays, books that have two characters that are close and that are of the same gender will have this discussion. Even like Sherlock Holmes, we have this discussion whether he's straight or not. So that's fine, but again, in context of this project, it's just like there is too much going on. First you're crying, now apparently some people are not straight, but there's no proof for it, but we're bringing it up anyways for no big reason. Then people are holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. It's like, what happened here? I need to know what happened because I feel like that one kid in class who didn't read the chapter for the day, but they're asking me to talk about it. And it's like, that's the sad thing is that here I have read the chapter. I have done my due diligence and I still don't understand anything. So can someone please enlighten me? Thank you. Anyway, whoever goes to see Wicked, if you've seen Wicked, whatever, I would love to know your opinion. Let me know what you think about all of this. Again, I do want to underline, this is not about the actors, the singers, the celebrities. It's about the behavior on this press tour of said actors, right? So let's not make any generalizations or rush to insult. Let's just talk about the behavior we're witnessing here and what the fuck is going on, I guess, if anyone knows. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.